Good evening, this is BelGeode, and we are back with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator. And yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Well, I'm sure you've seen that I've been flying in X-Plane and Aerofly FS2. I'm still trying to catch up with all the videos that I've got backlogged right now from all the various sims. I haven't even addressed DCS World, let alone Arma 3 started the second season of Voodoo Squad. So, yeah, but I really wanted to get back into Microsoft Flight Simulator because the next couple of videos I want to show you the work that Dino Cattaneo has done. Dino Cattaneo may be more familiar to you as IndiaFoxtEcho on the interwebs. And Dino's claim to fame, he actually created the F-14 Tomcat as well as a number of other aircraft for FSX way back in the day. Well, Dino's been pretty prolific since then, and he's actually become pretty much a well-known name when it comes to both freeware and payware aircraft. In fact, the aircraft that I'm going to be showing you tonight is actually going to be coming to two platforms. So it is just now released for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's also going to be coming to DCS World, believe it or not. Now, I believe there is a free mod that is currently available, but since Dino just got contracted with Eagle Dynamics, he's actually going to be making an official DCS module of the aircraft that we're going to fly tonight. And that aircraft is this one right here. This is the Aermacchi MB-339. This particular variant is the Alpha model or the A model. You also get the Pan model. Now, the Pan model is used by Italy's Air Force for their airshow demonstrations. Basically, it's their equivalent of the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds. So that's what this aircraft is most known for. But it is primarily used as a trainer around the world. And if we look at the liveries, we will see that the A model does come with several different liveries, including the one that we're going to be using today, which just happens to represent the United Arab Emirates. That is the home of Dubai. So yeah, look at that. Nice desert colors there. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so the typical stuff still applies. I will point out one minor change that Microsoft Flight Simulator has made. Don't know if you've noticed it just yet, but now it will remember whatever tail number you put in there. So throughout the flight, you will hear us being referred to as November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo. There are, of course, a number of other changes that have gone into Microsoft Flight Simulator over the last few months. One of the most notable of which being the addition of more high-resolution Japan, shall we say. But I'm not going to go through a lot of that stuff tonight, and I'm really not going to teach you a lot here tonight, because really, you've been playing it for long enough now that you should already know a lot of the stuff in there, so I'm really not breaking any new ground. But suffice to say, I am really excited about this aircraft, so that is the main reason why I want to show it to you. And where else would we want to show off an aircraft, especially with this livery, but in Dubai? So, let's zoom into Mother Earth here, and we'll take a look at our brief flight plan that I've got planned for us tonight. So we are going to be starting out at Oscar Mike, Delta Mike, which is Almenad Air Base. Almenad Air Base may look familiar to those of you who have seen my DCS videos where I'm flying around in the Persian Gulf. That is typically where I will base my land-based Harriers or Hornets or, stuff like that. That's more than likely where I'm going to park them because it's just to the south of Dubai. It's close enough to the city so that we can defend the city. We're just doing shenanigans tonight, however, so there will be no city defense. We're actually just going to fly around and cause a ruckus. Speaking of which, our first waypoint is going to be right here. This is the Burj Al Arab. Now, that is the infamous building that is kind of shaped like a sailboat sail, and it happens to have a helipad on there that a good friend of mine, Mr. Sergio from helisimmer.com, was able to get several fighter jets down onto the helipad. Yeah, he cheated. He set his headwind to like 120 knots or something like that so he could hover the planes down. Only Sergio could pull off something like that, I swear. All right, but let me show you some of the other stuff. So the Burj Al Arab is just to the north of the Palms area. You'll see the Princess Tower right there. The Palms is not officially represented in the sim, so you're going to see that, and that's an area of opportunity that Microsoft and Asobo have. But I do want to show you the areas that are represented, and most notably, the world's tallest building is also represented. You'll see it right here. This is the Burj Khalifa, and it's got a little star indicating it is a POI, or point of interest. So we're also going to be paying a visit there, and then we're also going to pay a visit to Oscar Mike Delta Bravo, which is Dubai International Airport. Please note, we will not be landing there, however. We are going to be heading out to sea. Should take us about 15-16 minutes to get to Oscar India Bravo Alpha, which is Abu Musa. And believe it or not, Abu Musa is not a part of the United Arab Emirates. It is actually a part of Iran up here. So there we go. Bet you didn't know that about that area. And by the way, when we come back to DCS, we will be coming back to this area. So stay tuned for that. As soon as I get around to finishing up all of those videos, you will be seeing that. But like I said, tonight we are taking the MB-339 Alpha for a little Dubai tour, and we'll see how much trouble we can get into. Let's hop into the cockpit right now. Alright, so here we are at Almenad Air Base, and we are in Dino's awesome MB-339. This is the Alpha model. I should tell you that there are two versions to this that you get. You get the Pan model as well as the Alpha model. Now the Alpha model will have a bunch of liveries, such as the one that we're rocking here for the United Arab Emirates, and the Pan model has the actual Italian airshow squadron. I forget what they're called. Frecce, Tricolori, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not Italian. I really can't speak the language, so forgive me, please. All right, but as promised, we are going to be flying out to downtown Dubai. You can see just behind our little marshaller there, the Burj Al Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, and we're going to be paying that a little visit there. And right over there, you can barely see off in the distance, that is the Burj Al Arab over at the Palms Jumeirah. And that is our first waypoint if you caught that on the world map. So we're also going to be paying that a visit as well. But none of that will happen unless we get this bird started up. So luckily, I watched a video that Dino pointed out that did a full startup tutorial. So hopefully I will remember how to do this right. Alright, I think the first thing that I'm going to need is going to be our batteries. So that is this switch here. We'll also need the generators. You'll notice that the generators are linked, so when you flip one switch, the other switch will also turn on. We're going to need some lights, so let's get our position lights on as well as our beacon lights. And you know what? I'm going to put the other lights on as well, so our instrument and console lights as well as our formation lights. Alright, that should be fine there. Now, we are going to need fuel, so let's get our master fuel switch on as well as this switch here. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and turn on the radios. We don't really need them just yet, but they're handy to have just in case we need to call the tower for anything. And we are, of course, going to need the master ignition switch, so we'll flip that on, as well as the switch to the left of it, the JPT limiter. And that is going to help us with our engine start. The last thing I believe we need to turn on is going to be this GPS switch on the right here. So there we go, we've got that on, and we're pretty much set for an engine start. We'll go ahead and close the canopy after we get the engines up and running. But before we do that, let me just kind of point out what's going to happen during the startup procedure. So let me change our camera view really quick here. Okay, now I'm centering on the screen there the RPM gauge. You'll see it says percent RPM. We want to wait till it goes over 10, so probably somewhere within the region of like 12 or 14% RPM. At that point in time, we are going to move our throttle forward, so it'll go to the idle stop position, and that should help us with an engine light off. We will also need to pay attention to that exhaust temp gauge just below the percent RPM, because if that goes beyond that upper red line, we have a problem. That is an engine fire. We don't want that. All right, so now that we know what we are supposed to do, let's go ahead and get it started by pushing the button. All right. I am detecting signs of life, so we are just watching that percent RPM gauge rise. And as soon as it gets to where I would like to have it, like right about there, go ahead and get the throttle to idle. And let's make sure that everything comes up. Temperature should start rising any second now. There we go. We'll check our generators. You'll notice that generator 1 is already on. You can see the gauge right above the caution and warning lights. Generator 2 just activated, so this means that we've got a good start. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and close our canopy with this switch right under here. Perfect, perfect. And while we're at it, we'll lock our canopy. This nifty little handle here. And as you can see, the canopy light disappears. Okay, so what else do we need to do to get this bird ready to go? Well, we're going to need our anti-skid switch, so that is directly underneath the throttle. We'll flip that forward. Incidentally, it takes about 6 to 10 seconds for the anti-skid switch light to disappear. So there we go. It is gone now. We'll check our barometer. It is currently set to 1013 hectopascals, which is perfectly fine. That's where it needs to be. And let me check on the left-hand side to see if there's anything else we need. Oh yes, oxygen. That's this funky-looking green switch. We'll flip that up. And we'll make sure we've got oxy flowing here. Yep, looks like it is. You can see the little barber pole bouncing up and down there, so that works. And that's pretty much everything that we need on this side of the cockpit. So the only other thing I need to do is turn on our taxi lights. So there we go there. We'll check the right side here and make sure everything is on. The only thing that we need to turn on this side, I believe, is going to be our pitot heat. But we'll wait until we get to the runway before we do that. All right, now, the other thing that we need to do is we're going to need to bring our flaps up, because if you noticed in the outside view, the flaps are currently down by default. Same for the speed brakes. So we'll pull the speed brakes up. You can see that one just moved, and we'll get the flaps up. So we'll hit that button twice. And I have to warn you, it takes forever for those flaps to come up. Oh my God, it takes forever. You can see it's still traveling there. That is wild. All right, but it does look like our flaps are currently up. So we're pretty much set to take off. The only other thing we need to do is get our parking brake turned off. And we may need to tell our lady friend out there that she's going to have to move. Otherwise, it might end badly for her. I'm just saying. Those are some pretty hefty looking wing tanks there. Now, as always, we have our co-pilot set to handle all the comms. But I will need to tune in the proper frequency. So let's get that done. And we'll have our co-pilot tell them that we're departing straight out.
Ground November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo, request taxi for takeoff, straight out departure. November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo, taxi to and hold short of runway 9er.
Runway 9er, got it.
Contact tower on 118.55 when ready. Taxi to and hold short runway 9er using Taxiway Alpha Alpha Golf Bravo.
Okay. Good deal. So it looks like we are headed to runway 9er. I am going to go to the outside view as we begin our taxi, and that way I can make sure that we don't take this lady out. Okay, this is Taxiway Alpha, so we're going to need to make our left turn here. You'll see the windsock is pointing us in the direction that we need to be headed. Everything is looking pretty kosher. It does seem like it's a little bit hazy out today, and of course we've got the sun in our eyes, so that may or may not become a problem throughout this video here. One thing I will tell you about this aircraft is we do need to make sure that we are taxiing at a low speed, because it has this thing where once you go over a certain speed, the nose wheel steering automatically turns off. So yeah, we want to prevent that from happening as we're rolling down the taxiway here. But thankfully, we don't have too far to go. You can see the end of the runway right there. So it shouldn't take us more than a second. And then, of course, our co-pilot will let the ATC know that we're ready to take off. Now, you may also notice just below where it says the nose wheel steering, it says SP1. That is our navigation display. It's got a rudimentary navigation display. You may have also noticed down there we've got basically what is a rudimentary FMS. There's no GPS in this thing. However, some of the coding behind the scenes will allow you to basically utilize any plan, any flight plan that you've put into the world map. So it's a little bit of a cheat, but not quite a cheat. I mean, the system is still functional, which is the important part. Alright, this is our turn here, so let's slow down so we don't go all over the place. Ground handling for this aircraft is pretty good, but I also don't want to tempt fate by flipping over or hitting those wingtip tanks. Alright, right about here. Get the brakes.
Tower November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo ready for straight out departure at runway 9er.
Let's get our takeoff lights.
Alpha Golf Bravo cleared for takeoff runway 9er, straight out departure approved.
Okay, excellent.
Cleared for takeoff runway 9er Alpha Golf Bravo.
Alright, I don't see any traffic going out, and I don't see any traffic coming in, so we're at a quiet day here in the United Arab Emirates. So, we're going to go back to the outside view, and we're going to take the active. Okay, so now we are in position. Let me just do a final check and make sure everything's kosher. Kind of hard to see with the sun all over this panel here, but hopefully that will go away once we take off. Alright, everything does look good. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set our trim up a little bit, because I do notice this aircraft does have a slight nose down tendency. So I want a smooth takeoff here. Alright, and now it is my favorite time. It is time to go brakes down, throttles up. We're going to need to go to max power for takeoff here. So we're at 85% throttle, 90% throttle, brakes off, full throttle. Here we go. Nose wheel steering light is extinguished, so we have full rudder authority, and we're going to rotate really quickly at around 100 knots. So right about here, just like that, we are airborne. Alright, gear up, flaps up, and we'll start trimming up a little bit here. Excellent, excellent. So say goodbye to Almenad Air Base, folks, as we make our way on our brief tour around Dubai. Now we're going to pull back the power here.
Tower November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo frequency change. Approach November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo is type 2 miles east of Oscar Mike Delta Mike 2,400 feet. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace. November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo approach.
transponder is down here.
Squawk 6036 Alpha Golf Bravo.
And you'll see it just changed.
Contact 3 miles east of Oscar Mike Delta Mike 3,500 feet. Cleared through the Charlie airspace. Cleared through the Charlie airspace Alpha Golf Bravo.
Okay, so we're going to make our turn to the west now, and we're going to continue heading west until we reach the shore. I just wanted to make sure that we were far enough from the airport, and this cloverleaf seems like as good a landmark as any. Oh boy, blinded by the light. Whew. Alright, don't look at the sun. Whatever you do, don't look at the sun. But yeah, you can see we've got some traffic down there. Again, seems like a nice quiet evening here. Not a whole heck of a lot going on in the UAE. Alright, let's see. We are closing in on, what, 4,000 feet, I believe? Yep, we're at 3,500 right now. Speed is looking pretty good. Once we get lined up to the west, what I'll do is go ahead and turn on our autopilot and just kind of keep us in a wings level mode. And actually, it looks like we're up to 6,000 feet. Wow, okay, well, we may need to come down some here. I actually wanted to be around 5,000. I didn't want to be this high. It's all part of the plan, man, for the shenanigans that we have scheduled here. Okay, right there is good. We're heading due west, so we will go ahead and turn everything on as far as the autopilot goes. And we'll set this to altitude hold. Excellent, excellent. Alright, so we are in a wings level attitude, and you can clearly see the airport that we just took off from. Over there, off in the distance, you will see Dubai International Airport, which, if I'm not too mistaken, is one of the premium content airports. So that's why it looks pretty good from here. And of course, the Burj and some of the other buildings. Now, you will notice that the rest of the buildings in this area have not materialized yet, and they probably won't until we get a little bit closer. So my big plan is to get close enough to where we can see all the buildings materialize on the waterfront, and then we will begin our shenanigans. But while we're waiting on all of that to happen, let's go to the outside view and play around with the outside camera somewhat. Okay, so this is what I was waiting for. It looks like everything is materialized. So what we're going to do now is remove our autopilot, and we are going to basically follow that highway that goes in between those buildings there. But first, we're going to need to get to the deck. Alright, we are over the Palms, and I wanted to point out this area because it's a little bit of a disappointment. For those of you who have watched my DCS videos and you've seen what Dubai looks like there, you will notice that they missed out on a lot of stuff in this area. Much improvement needed. Alright, let's do an Immelmann really quick here. Make sure we're over 300. Sounds like I'm keeping my co-pilot busy there.
November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo approach. Squawk 1457. Squawk 1457 Alpha Golf Bravo.
Alright, so there is the Burj Al Arab, and that is our next stop. So we're basically going to buzz that building really quick here. Let's hit the deck. Check our speed. We are just over 250. Okay, we are doing good here. The co-pilot's probably going to get chatty a lot with the ATC because we keep crossing a lot of the airspace boundaries. So naturally, she's just doing her job. All right, let's go back to the outside view.
124.45 for Alpha Golf Bravo. Unit plan. Altimeter 29.92. Approach November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace. November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo approach. Clear through the Charlie airspace. Clear through Charlie airspace Alpha Golf Bravo.
Okay, there it is, world's tallest building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly vertical, or at least I hope I will. First, we're going to need to go down low, and we're going to need to make sure that our speed is up. I'm going to take this thing up as high as it will go before it basically just runs out of forward momentum, or I guess in this case it will be upward momentum. Hopefully, we won't smack against the building. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. So once again, we're going back to the outside view for some more shenanigans.
Alpha Golf Bravo contact Emirates Center on 124.85. 124.85 Alpha Golf Bravo. Emirates Center November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo 5,500 feet.
November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo Emirates Center, continue as planned. Altimeter 29.92. Alpha Golf Bravo, you're leaving my airspace. Resume on navigation. Contact
There it is.
124.45.
What a beautiful structure.
124.45 Alpha Golf Bravo.
Wow. All right.
Approach November
I feel like
70
buzzing more
Alpha
things,
Bravo,
so I'm
2,300
thinking let's
feet.
buzz the tower.
November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo approach continue as planned. Altimeter 29.92.
Oh boy, and they are still having a conversation, my co-pilot and the ATC. Now see, this part of Dubai actually looks pretty cool. The only thing it's missing is that picture frame looking thing. I know it's around here somewhere, but I don't believe it's modeled at all. Alright, but with that having been said, let's go ahead and pay the ATC a visit, so that way they can see who's been flying so crazily in their airspace here. And then once we've done that, we'll go ahead and head out to sea and begin heading to Abu Musa. So once again, back to the outside view.
Approach November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace. November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo approach. Clear through the Charlie airspace. Clear through Charlie airspace Alpha Golf Bravo.
Alright, well that was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So yeah, as far as Dubai goes, it looks like they got a lot of the major structures there, but they're still missing some key ingredients that would make this area just pop. And I'm hoping that that will come at some point in time, whether it be from Asobo and Microsoft themselves or from third parties. But at least they remembered the World Islands and, of course, both of the Palms Islands there, so that is cool at least. Alright, but we're just about done with Dubai, so for the final leg of our journey, we are going to be heading to Abu Musa, and I am going to make sure that we are in level flight. So let's bring it down to about 500, or excuse me, 5,000. Get our autopilot back on. Alright, right about there. Okay, that should level us out, and while that's going on, I'm also going to set our RNAV on, and alt-hold radio nav. Okay, so this is what I was talking about when I say that we've got like a rudimentary autopilot and navigation system in this. So what it's going to do, it's basically going to guide us over to Abu Musa. But if you look at our HSI here, you will notice that we are pretty much off course right now. So let me just set this up. I want to say it should be on a heading of 330-ish, if I'm not too mistaken. You can see we're about 32 miles away from Abu Musa. So what this should do is it should start adjusting itself to the direction that we're going to need to fly there. Alright, but while it's doing its thing, I am going to go to the outside view and I'm going to play around some more with the cameras. Okay, so we are about 26 miles away from our destination, and we still haven't exactly lined up with our little quote-unquote magenta line. But as you can hear, we're being asked to contact a different center. Now, that may not mean much to you, but what it means to me is that we are pretty close to where we need to be. So we should be able to see the island somewhere out there. Is that it? I am not sure. Might be directly ahead of us. It's hard to tell because it's kind of hazy out here. We can, however, go back to the outside view and see what we can see. Okay, now it looks like we are cooking with gas. It is starting to line us up, and sure enough, that actually was Abu Musa that I had seen off to the right. You'll notice it's pretty much dead center. Incidentally, this little thing that we're looking at directly ahead of us, I want to say this should be like a gun sight or something along those lines. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like none of the switches here and the knobs, none of that works. However, like the master arm switch, that does work. The bomb sequence for ripple or single, that also works. And even the little bomb buttons here, which obviously they're not going to do anything since we don't have any bombs attached. And I believe even the jettison button also works. But that is something that we can look forward to down the road once Dino brings this aircraft into DCS in a more official capacity. And let's not forget that he's also promised a pro version for this sim as well at some point in time in the future. So, bunch of things to look forward to. Right now, the one thing I am looking forward to is my co-pilot actually contacting Abu Musa to make them aware that we are coming in. So let me just set my course knob here. We'll point it directly at Abu Musa. And I happen to know that the runway there is runway 6, if I'm not too mistaken. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up on our heading bug. I'm pretty certain that they're probably going to have us come down on runway 6. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll have us come in on the opposite direction, which actually might be a little bit better considering where the airport is. But we'll work with it. We will work with it. Alright, still have my landing lights on. I really should have retracted them, but I'm sure I'll live. I don't think they're going to crucify me over that. Let's see, we're about 12 miles out. When we get to about 10 miles, we'll bring it down to 2,000 feet. In the meantime, let's take a quick look at the island ahead of us. The island of Abu Musa. Okay, we're about 6 miles out, and you can begin to see the airport there, so we are going to begin our descent really quick. We can make this pretty much an expedited descent, but I obviously don't want that to be the case. I am still waiting to find out what runway we're coming in on. I don't think our co-pilot announced that. Yeah, I don't think she did. She's slacking in her duties here. Alright, let's do it for her. Select a runway for landing. Let's go with 26.
Oscar India Bravo Alpha traffic November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo 4 miles south 3,000 feet inbound to land runway 26.
Alright, excellent, excellent. Okay, so that means we're going to need to go this way for our downwind. And we're still coming down, so we'll bring it down to about 1,500. We may need to hit the speed brakes here. That way we can get our gear and our flaps down. Yeah, right about there should be good. Actually, that's a little too far off. We really should have been at about 60, so we'll pull it back some more this way. Who would have thunk? So 60 is now our reciprocal course. Alright, there we go. That's where I want to be. Okay, so quick check. There is our runway. You can see it's going from east to west, or right to left if you prefer, and the airport is right in the center there of the island. Alright, now let's lose some more airspeed and see if we can get this bird down. Alright, landing gear, we need to get down below 150, so right about there should be good. See the gear starting to come down now. There we go. We got 3 down in green, so let's begin our base leg turn. And I'm going to trim us up here so that way our speed will stay below 150. We do want it to be above 100, but obviously we definitely don't want it to be, you know, too fast or too slow. Alright, now I have another problem here, and that is I cannot really see our runway due to the sunset. So I'm hoping I'm not overflying it here. Oh, wait, I think I see it, and I think we are way off center because I couldn't see it. Alright, let me drop the second stage of flaps really quick here. And we'll get some more airspeed. Co-pilot, do me a favor if you would. Can you please tell them we're on final?
Oscar India Bravo Alpha traffic November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo is on final runway 26 to land.
Thank you much. I guess that was a bit of a teardrop approach. That wasn't exactly a proper pattern, but then, yeah, I really didn't anticipate that sun being so bright. Alright, we'll stay trimmed so that way we're right around 110.
Oscar India Bravo Alpha traffic November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo is on final runway 26 to land.
I thought you already told them. Why are you telling them again? I guess it probably never hurts, just in case somebody didn't hear us. Okay, folks. Welcome to Abu Musa, and let's bring this bird in. Alright, so far so good. Controls are a little bit wobbly, but I think that's more my settings rather than the aircraft itself. We're just over the threshold right now. Right about there. Okay, power down. And bring her in. Nice. Little bit of a bounce there, but we are down, so let's get the speed brakes out. And we'll wait for that nose wheel to touch down. And we're just about at the right speed to start hitting the brakes. Perfect! Well, as perfect as I get as far as landings go. Nothing is ever perfect in my world. Alright, but like I said, welcome to Abu Musa, folks. Hope you have enjoyed the ride from Dubai. And this is our turnoff right here. Just in time, too. Looks like our nose wheel steering came back. Alright, so we'll look for the yellow line. And we'll put our lights back to taxi. There's the yellow line. Okay, awesome. So just to remind you, this has been IndiaFoxtEcho, aka Dino Cattaneo's MB-339, Aermacchi MB-339. This is the Alpha model. You also get the Pan model. It is PAYWARE, of course, and as always, the link will be in the video description below. Everything else that you've been seeing has, of course, been default for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I have not added anything else to this. I do believe that guy's in my spot. Dude, seriously? That is my parking spot. Now I'm going to have to park next to you. Well, not a problem. Looks like the lights are coming on just in time, and of course this guy is right here. Are you my marshaller? I don't think you're my marshaller. You don't look like my marshaller. You're not my regular person. Alright, well, doesn't matter. This is where we're parking. Right here. Okay, so parking brakes on. And we are pretty much done. So, thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. If you enjoy what you have seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. As always, this is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and everything that I'm using is going to be linked in the video description below. So, shout out to Dino Cattaneo for another excellent aircraft brought to this sim, and looking forward to seeing how this one will progress. For now, folks, that will do it for me. So, once again, I thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all really soon. Ciao!